Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is for those of you who are studying GCSE Geography but you are completing the EDUQAS Specification B course, part of the WJEC qualification. Now this is the GCSE Geography from 9 to 1, just to make you aware, so this is the most recent GCSE available. Now what I'm going to do in this video is give you a summary of basically the entire course and specifically the topics that you will learn. So EDUQAS B is broken down into what we call themes. Basically topics, if you like. So the content of the specification, like I said, is organised into what we call these three broad themes. You've got changing places, changing economies, you've got changing environments, and you've got environmental challenges. Now, within each theme, you then have got individual, more specific topics that you will go into more detail on. So if we start with theme 1, first of all, changing places and changing economies. So one of the topics you will learn about in this theme is called Urbanisation in Contrasting Global Cities. This is where you are going to explore global cities at a range of scales, and you're going to investigate the growth and character of two specific global cities that your teachers select. For each of those cities, you're going to look at in more detail the reasons for their growth, the factors that obviously have contributed to their growth, as well as ways of life of the people and cultural patterns, before moving on to looking at the challenges they face and the strategies which aim to reduce inequality and improve the lives of people. Your second topic within this theme is called Urban and Rural Processes and Change in the UK. And this is where you investigate urban changes in the UK in relation to population distribution, as well as changing retail patterns and changing in housing quality. Then within this theme, you move on to looking at a global perspective on development issues, where we focus on development data and how countries are classified using different levels of development, before moving on to looking at the idea of globalisation, trade and aid. Now your second theme is changing environments, and within this particular theme you have 4 key ideas you're going to study. The first is coasts and coastal management, and within this topic you look at how coastlines have been influenced by erosion, weathering, mass movement and tourism, and even human activities. So you'll look at all those coastal processes and coastal landscapes before looking at how coasts are managed and why coastal management might be considered controversial, before looking at the impacts of climate change on your coastal communities. Your second key idea in this particular theme is rivers and river management, very similar to coasts, but again, this time focusing on rivers. So you start off by looking at river features and characteristics that alter the river channel and what influences the course of the river. So you'll look at processes of erosion, transportation, weathering, deposition. You'll learn about all those lovely river landforms before looking at and leading on to flooding and the causes of flooding, the consequences of flooding, and how we can reduce the risk of flooding in the future, looking at river management strategies. And again, you do touch on why river flood management is often controversial. Your third topic within this theme is called weather and climate, and we start off in this topic looking at why the UK climate varies in relation to altitude, pressure and distance from the sea, before moving on to looking at a big concept known as global atmospheric circulation, which then leads very nicely to the location and distribution of climate zones across the globe. We also within this topic do touch on weather hazards and specifically focus on high pressure and low pressure associated weather hazards such as droughts, heat waves and tropical storms. Our last topic within this theme is called climate change, a huge topic that does need to be studied in my opinion and very relevant right now in the 21st century. So we start off by investigating changes in climate, including glacial and interglacial periods, and what causes global warming and the factors that are contributing to climate change. We then do explore the consequences of climate change on farming, food supplies, wildlife and habitats, water supplies, just the general population, as well as tourist destinations, before considering people's attitudes towards climate change and whether these attitudes vary, basically whether people agree or disagree with the concept of climate change, before moving on to looking at how we as individuals and how government organisations could hopefully play a part in reducing the risk of climate change in the future. Now, theme 3, environmental challenges, is where we will study the topic of ecosystems. So you need to study 2 ecosystems. One is compulsory, it's called hot semi-arid grassland, basically your savanna ecosystem. And the second is a choice of whatever your teacher decides. So that could be tropical rainforest, that could be the polar biome, that could be the Arctic tundra or deserts. So you will investigate ecosystems, you'll look at animal adaptations, plant adaptations, how that ecosystem functions, its climate, its soil, and its overall characteristics, before looking at the threats that human activity and these ecosystems are facing. And to finish off this topic, you will also look at how ecosystems unfortunately are being damaged, but how we can manage them in the future in a sustainable way. Your second topic within this particular theme is called water resources and management, and this is where you're looking at global trends in water supply and demand. We focus on the concept of a water footprint here, so you get to understand how much water each individual country actually uses on a yearly annual basis, before looking at the concept of over abstraction, where we take too much water out of our lakes and rivers, and therefore we look at what happens when demand for water exceeds supply. We finish off this particular topic again by looking at how the challenges of managing water supply can actually be managed, and we look at international issues as well that face future water management, particularly when we think about climate change. Final topic of this particular theme is desertification, and we look at the physical processes that are occurring on our planet to cause desertification, and this is a nice link to that ecosystems topic of hot semi-arid grassland as well, so you've got a nice synoptic link there between desertification and ecosystems. Within the topic of desertification, we do finish off with looking at how can these environments that are vulnerable to desertification be managed in the future to prevent all those potential problems that desertification causes. Now, there are the topics that you need to learn for your geography examinations, but because you're studying GCSE geography, you also need to complete what we call applied fieldwork. So you will be given the opportunity to complete one piece of physical fieldwork and one piece of human fieldwork, and they will focus on what we call concepts and methods. Now, just as well to finish off, all the way throughout your course, you are going to be developing a lot of geographical skills along the way, statistical skills, graph skills, and cartographic skills, which in very simple terms are map skills. So yes, in your GCSE examinations, you will come across some math-based questions, some map-based questions, and some graph questions. And there's nothing to be afraid of here. It's just a case of practicing and completing these skills and developing these skills throughout your time completing GCSE. If you are interested in looking at how you will be assessed or the exam papers and what they look like for this particular course, you can check out some other YouTube videos I've put together that are located on my channel. So as always everyone, thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping you're finding these videos useful. Please like and subscribe if you do, and I'll see you next time.